Welcome to today's lesson on direct objects. Hopefully you'll find this lesson to be very helpful, and you'll discover that locating or identifying the direct object in a sentence is actually fairly easy to do. So let's get started. The definition for a direct object is that it receives the action of the verb. Think of it as the wide receiver of the sentence. So for instance, in football, quarterback drops back to make a pass, and then the quarterback throws a pass to the wide receiver in a football game. Well, that's what a direct object is. It's the wide receiver of the sentence. It actually receives the action of the verb, just how a wide receiver receives the ball or receives a pass from the quarterback. Another helpful tip to identify the direct object in the sentence is it answers the question, what or who. So let's take a look at an example sentence, and then I think you'll see what I mean by this. Our example sentence reads, Tom Brady threw an accurate pass. Now, when it comes to grammar, I always think the best place to start, especially when we're trying to find or identify things in a sentence, is with the verb. So in this sentence, our verb is threw. Now, going back to this, answers the question what or who, which of these questions, what or who, would work best with this sentence? In this case, it would be what. What did Tom Brady throw? Well, the answer to that question is actually very easy. What Tom Brady threw was a pass. So threw is our verb, and pass is our direct object because it receives the action of the verb. What did Tom Brady throw? Tom Brady threw a pass. And that's a direct object. Doesn't that seem easy? All right, let's take a look at a couple of example sentences and see if we can correctly identify the direct object in these sentences. So our first sentence is, Yellowstone covers more than 2 million acres of land. Again, as before, first thing we want to do is find the verb in the sentence. Once we find the verb, then trying to figure out what other things are in the sentence becomes much easier. So in this case, our verb is covers. So now the question is, remember what a direct object does is it answers that question, what or who, is to think of what question works here. In this case, the question to ask is, what does Yellowstone cover? The answer to that question is very easy. What Yellowstone covers is acres. So acres is our direct object. Now you may have thought that it was land, okay? All right, but it's not land. When you see this of land, this is actually what's called a prepositional phrase. And I just abbreviate that. But what a prepositional phrase does is it gives more information. All right, but what Yellowstone actually covers is acres. And then of land is just more information that helps us know, exactly what the acres are, that they're of land. All right, let's try again. In this next sentence, Kelly's hockey team won the game. So as before, let's find the verb. And the verb in this sentence is won. And we're going to ask the same question we did in the first one, and that is what. What did Kelly's hockey team win? And hopefully by now you're understanding that if you ask the right question, the answer to the question is actually very easy, and that is game. Right? What Kelly's team won was game. And because that answers the question what, game is our direct object. All right, pretty simple. Let's try one more. All right, we'll walk you through this one, and then after this we'll get you going on a couple sentences that you'll try on your own. So the park features thousands of hot springs. Again, let's find the verb, and in this case that's features. And then the question is, what does the park feature? Well, what the park features is springs. And that's our direct object. Okay? It doesn't feature thousands, and doesn't really feature hot. Remember, hot is an adjective. Again, the answer to this question, what the park features, is springs, and that's our direct object. Right? So hopefully this is making more sense for you. Hopefully this is seeming a little bit easy, and we'll do a couple more on your own right now and see how you do with those. All right, let's take a look at some sentences here, and let's see how you guys do on your own. All right, so our first sentence reads, many visitors hike the trails. Right, and my suggestion is that you start with the verb. Once you identify the verb, then trying to identify or figure out what other things are in the sentence becomes much easier. So what's the verb in sentence number one? All right, good. If you said hike, then you are correct. So now the question is, because remember, direct object answers the question what or who. What do visitors hike? What would the answer to that question be? All right, good. If you said trails, then you have the answer correct, and you just found the direct object. Pretty simple, huh? All right, let's try sentence number 2. Trails lead hikers down from the canyon's rim and back up. What's the verb in sentence number 2? All right, good. If you said lead, then you just found the action verb in the sentence. And then the question is, what do trails lead? Or who do trails lead? Actually, it would be who do trails lead in this sentence? And the answer to that would be hikers. And because that's the answer, that's our direct object. All right, number 3. Some people ride mules instead of biking. What's the verb in number 3? All right, good. Verb in number 3 is ride. And the question is, what do people ride? Well, what people ride are, good, mules. And that's our direct object, right? It receives the action of the verb. Number 4, at visitor centers, people study maps of the park. What's the verb in number 4? All right, awesome. You guys are doing great. Verb in number 4 is study. So the question is, what do people study? Again, the answer to that question is our direct object. All right, good. The answer to that question are maps, right? Or I should say is maps. People study maps. So that is our direct object. And last one, number 5, you're doing great so far. They learn interesting facts about the area's geology. What's the verb in number 5? All right, good. Verb in number 5 is learn. And the question is, what do they learn? Good. The answer to that question is they learn facts. So facts is our direct object for number 5. So hopefully you found this very helpful. Again, just to review, direct objects receive the action of the verb. Think of the direct object as the wide receiver of the sentence. All right, just as a wide receiver receives the ball or receives the pass from the quarterback, the direct object receives the action from the verb in the sentence. And it answers the question, who or what. So find the verb, as we did in number 1, hike, and ask the question, what do visitors hike? If you can ask that question or figure out the right question to ask, the answer is almost always very, very easy, and therefore finding the direct object is pretty simple. So again, hopefully this helps, and good luck.